another Sunday night episode of our live stream fishing show. That's right, it's Sunday night, y'all, and it's time for that live stream show. So, Hubbard's Marina has been fishing local waters since 1928. Nearly 100 years and 4 family generations. We've been hard at it, doing anything from near shore to offshore fishing and everything in between. If it swims in the Gulf of Mexico, we've got a trip to go catch them. So tons of great options here at Hubbard's Marina. And again, my name's Captain Dylan Hubbard, and this is our Sunday night live stream show. So if you are ready for the show, sit back, relax, kick your feet up. We're going to be getting ready to start very shortly. Hopefully y'all can see me okay, and you're ready for a great show. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, let me know if you can hear and see that video okay. We're going to be getting started very shortly. You should see that screen that says stream will begin shortly. We are going to get started very shortly in about 8 minutes or so. Don't forget to comment where you're watching from. Don't forget to share this video with friends. If you're watching on YouTube, give the video stream a thumbs up for me. If you're watching on Facebook, give the video a like and make sure to share with your friends. We'd appreciate it. And then also, guys, don't forget, if you want a chance to win a free fishing trip, you do have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So go to Hubbard's Marina on Facebook, find that live stream video, and comment at least one time. That enters you for a chance to win those free trips. The video on Facebook is not playing on my side of things, but it looks like we're getting comments, and looks like I can see it if I go to the page, so I guess it must be working. We are almost ready to start. Just need a few more minutes to cross our T's and dot our I's, and we will be just about ready to rock and roll. Hopefully you guys have some questions. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, it doesn't matter. Either way, all you have to do is comment, or check out that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. That phone number is 727-393-1947. Hit that phone number up with a text message, and that is how you get your questions answered live during the show. If you comment your question, I won't necessarily see it during the show, and I won't necessarily have a chance to answer it. So make sure, if you want your question answered live during the show, make sure you go ahead and send me a text message to that phone number in the upper right hand corner. That is how you get them answered live during the show, and we'll be getting started here very shortly. Almost ready to rock and roll. All right, that is that. Also, guys, we're going to be talking tonight about the dry dock. We're going to be talking about what's going on here at Hubbard's Marina. We're going to be sharing some tips and tricks and going over some photos. We got some cool photos to show you tonight. But again, guys, if you want a chance to win one of the free trips, we're going to give away a 5-hour half day for 2 guests, a 10-hour all day for 2 guests, and we're going to give away a 39-hour fishing trip for 1 person. If you want a chance to win one of those free trips, you can watch the show on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you want. You can watch the show. But in order to be eligible to win, you have to comment on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So go to facebook.com, type in Hubbard's Marina in the search, and then once you're on that page, comment on that live video 1 time. That's how you get a chance to win those free trips. But you can watch on YouTube, you can watch on any Facebook channel you want, but in order to be eligible to win, you do have to comment on that Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream once, And then if you want your question answered live during the show, if you want to propose a topic to talk about, if you've got a burning question or desire that you want to air out, throw it into a text message, that phone number in the upper right hand corner. That is how you get your questions answered live during the show. And that's all you need to know. That's the ins and outs of this live stream show. But also, don't forget your drink. Hopefully everybody's got their handy dandy whiskey drinks ready to rock and roll. If you drink rum or whiskey or beer or anything else, you're allowed to watch too. But proper drinking attire for tonight's show is Irish whiskey. At least that's what I drink. Of the Jameson variety. That's what I prefer. I don't know what you guys prefer. Maybe drop in the comments. Let me know if there's something that I should try. But I'm pretty much hung up on this Jameson Black Barrel. It's pretty much the best ever. And shout out to Michael Bertram for bringing me a bottle of Jameson Black Barrel. Ed Eccles and his wife, or his daughter, daughter Katie, brought me a bottle of what was that called? Walking Man. And that was an Irish whiskey. It was pretty good. But I don't know, man. That Jameson Black Barrel, I think it still has my heart. It was good though. It was good to try something a little different. Switch it up a little bit. But I think the Jameson Black Barrel still has my heart for sure. So we are going to be getting started here very shortly. Again, don't forget, if you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like the video for us. If you're also make sure to like our page. And then if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to thumbs up the video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'd appreciate it. Something like 73% of the people who watch these live stream shows are not subscribed to our channel. So please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for me. Dan said he likes Crown Peach. My dad really likes the Crown Royal Apple, and I like Crown Royal Apple. The Crown Royal Peach is incredible. They have that Crown Royal, I think it's like a caramel or something. That's really good as well. But the flavored Crown Royals are just a little too sweet for me to drink by themselves. I like drinking right on the rocks. I don't like mixing it with anything. It tends to give me a headache or heartburn or make me burp. So that's what it is. It is what it is. Everybody has their own favorite drink for sure. Thanks, Mike Hart, for sending some stars and for being a supporter. We got some of our supporters in here tonight. If you haven't checked out that supporters group, I'd highly recommend it on Facebook. Really, really good. Basically, that supporters group is a way to kind of connect with us more. The subscribers group or supporters group allows for exclusive content, exclusive reports. Some how-to videos are posted there early. We post a little bit more photos, get some behind-the-scenes live videos. We did about a 15-minute live video where Will was trying to catch a tarpon off the bow of the boat. So the supporters group is definitely a great way to connect with us more. And we've got about 46 members in that private group. That is on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube and you don't know what I'm talking about, on Facebook you have the option to become a supporter. In the live video there at the bottom, it gives you the option to either send stars or become a supporter. And if you become a supporter, you get access to that private supporters only group. You get exclusive content. You get a little badge when you post that shows you're a reporter. And we're looking forward to building that group up together and making it better and better. So check it out if you're interested. I'd appreciate it. Thanks, Randy and Jim Evans. Randy Friend and Jim Evans for sending some stars on Facebook. Thank you so much, guys. And with that, it is 8:30 p.m. and it is time to get rolling. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Hopefully y'all are ready for a great show, and hopefully you got some good questions for me, guys. Remember, if you have a question, don't forget to text us at that phone number in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. That is how you get your question answered. Emil George said he likes the Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is good, don't get me wrong, but you can't find it. And when you do find it, it's in super low supply. So here in Florida, Buffalo Trace, I mean, I was on a waiting list for like 2 weeks before I got a bottle of it. And it's good, but it definitely has a little bit too much of a burn for me. It causes the old heartburn. Jameson is just right, you know? But I really do like Buffalo Trace. And that one, the USC fighter guy, he's Irish. Man, it's going to bother me now. I can't think of it. I can't think of the USC fighter's name or the name of the whiskey. It's got a black label on it. That one's pretty good. I like that one a lot as well. The Irishman who fought Floyd Mayweather. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm waiting for it to pop up in the comments. But Proper 12, there you go. Alan Kirk with the help and the assist. Proper 12, Conor McGregor. It's his whiskey. It's an Irish whiskey. That one is very good as well. Super smooth, doesn't have a bite, but doesn't have quite as much taste as that Jameson Black Barrel. So I love Proper 12, don't get me wrong, but I still like Jameson Black Barrel a little bit more. Thanks, Brad Wooten, for sending some stars. And with that, let's get into these photos, show you what we've been catching. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of photos to show you tonight because we haven't been fishing too much. This weather has completely sucked. So we're going to talk a little bit about the weather as well. But definitely still been catching some fish inshore. The inshore bite's been going pretty good. There's some species like these black drum here that actually kind of prefer that murky, stirred up, dirtier water. So black drum bite has picked up quite a bit around the docks and around the bridge. You can see this one caught by Zach and his buddies. He caught it right at the end of our dock. Right now the dinner boat's gone, so the end of the dock's open, and it's been producing some good fish. Another black drum caught by our friend Dan on his kayak. Nice fish. Extreme trip was canceled due to weather, so Dan hopped in his kayak and kayaked around the flats, caught himself a nice black drum, and I believe some redfish as well. This nice lady, I forget her name, and I apologize if you're watching, came down to do some fishing with us and had to cancel the trips due to Hurricane Sally. And she went down to Mary Pier and caught herself a nice big old flounder. Thanks, Richard Blazak, for sending those stars. And then Zach's mom, she's got a nice big old redfish here from Upper Tampa Bay. We got John Sasser showing off a nice redfish. Dan again from his kayak with the redfish. And some nice fish here for sure. Big old redfish. And this is our friend Luke Simons from Salt Strong showing off his redfish with the topwater plug. This is a topwater plug over here in his mouth. Those topwater plugs are incredibly fun to fish out on the flats. Shallow water in the early morning around sunrise or just after or around dusk. Low light conditions in shallow water is where you want to go to use those top water plugs, and those fish explode on the surface, and it really makes a very fun strike. So highly recommend the top water plugs. You do miss some fish every now and again because they tend to miss that lure a little bit from time to time, but the watching them explode on the surface is almost as good as catching the fish. At least in my opinion. Especially when they're catch and release only, like redfish, snook, and trout are right now. Thanks, Chad Peterson, for sending us some stars. Oops, zoomed in instead of skipped to the next one. There we go. Come on. We're locked up here. Let's see if we can't fix that problem. There we go. All right, so on to the next one. Weird. There we go. Another redfish, another one from Luke, and another topwater plug, this time on the dock lines. This is Zach's dad showing off a big old snook caught in upper Tampa Bay. Another snook in Johns Pass. Big old snook out on the grass flats. Windy day, but she found the fish. Big snook along those mangrove shorelines. And Mary Pier, big snook, John Sasser and Johns Pass catching those big snook. And John Sasser's buddy showing off a nice big old tarpon from Johns Pass as well. The tarpon are still around. It's late season for the tarpon, but they're still catching quite a few of them. So pretty cool to see those tarpon moving around still. I don't know why I'm having trouble advancing photos tonight. Was that the last one? Oh, that's why. That was the last one. So that's the inshore catch. So lately, essentially, we've been seeing the snook still biting around the flats, around the grass flats, around the back bay waters, the dock lines, mangrove shorelines, great areas to catch the snook. In the passes at night where we saw hundreds of snook stacked up before sunrise, now we're just seeing a handful here, handful there, and we're not seeing quite as many snook in the pass at night, but they're still around and they're still actively feeding. But they're definitely starting to dwindle down in the numbers inside the passes, and a lot of those fish are moving into upper bay and back into the bay and off the beaches and out of the passes as we progress into that fall time. There's still fish there on the beach and in the pass, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely starting to transition. We're also seeing the redfish start transitioning. We're seeing a lot more redfish out moving around the flats, schooling up together. We're finding big areas of redfish, Fort DeSoto, Weeden Island, Cockroach Bay, Palmasola Bay, up in Bogosiega Bay. A lot of areas to find those redfish schooled up on the flats, mangrove shorelines, dock lines, and we're even finding a few in the passes. The cut deadbait on the bottom seems to work really well in those shaded areas underneath the mangrove shorelines, that shade of the mangroves, the shade of that back bay dock adjacent to the grass flats or oyster bars, oyster bar areas. And then in the passes around the bottom has been really, really hot as well. Thanks Greg Sweeten and TJ McNew and anybody else who's been sending stars while I was showing those inshore photos. So now that we talked about inshore, we're going to move our way offshore. But again, don't forget, if you have a question, guys, don't forget to text that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. So offshore, we haven't really been offshore too much. We had Hurricane Sally. So today is Sunday. This past Friday and Saturday, so yesterday and the day before yesterday, were the only 2 days that we got boats offshore in the last 7 days. In the last 9 days, unfortunately. So it was Friday before our last show, so that's 9 days ago, was our previous trip, and then it took a whole 7 days before we could run another fishing trip. And it's been a long, bleak week of weather. I got a little depressed there, but we pulled it out. We were able to go on a half-day fishing trip Friday. Then yesterday, Saturday, we had some private charters going out on the Flying Hub 2. They raced out there, and they caught a lot of nice red groupers, some big mangroves. Didn't get quite far enough for those amberjack, but they had a great time for sure. So we're going to look at some of those fish from the Flying Hub 2 private fishing charter that occurred yesterday. So let's see some of those. Here's Elias showing off one of his nice red grouper, one of many. They really did well in the red grouper. We don't have a photo of every fish, but they had a great time. Captain Garrett took this private charter client out there. The Jimmy family, good friends of ours, go fishing with us quite a bit. Here's one of those big fat red grouper they caught. And this is little Chris and his buddy Seabass. Seabass, our first mate, goes out fishing with them all the time. And little Chris is becoming quite the angler, mastering those big mangrove snapper out there in deep water. Pretty cool to see young kids getting so good at fishing out there. And this is Michael Jimmy and Captain Garrett showing off one of her big red grouper. Another one of Michael's beautiful reds. Big fish for sure. And these are the photos from that trip. Great opportunity to catch some good fish in between those weather windows. Like I said, it had been a long time since we got out there and go fishing, but luckily those red grouper were waiting for us. So let's show you the cool photos I talked about earlier. So one of our live stream show guests, or one of our live stream show fans or viewers, or whatever you want to call yourselves, Chris Fink, he's been watching the show for a while, and he has been fishing with us for many, many, many years. And he was posting some photos to his Facebook page, I noticed, from back in the day, and I asked him to share those with us. So tonight we have some of Chris Fink's photos from the early 2000s, so not super long ago, but about 20 years ago, and you are gonna be amazed at how different Hubbard's Marina looks. And it's pretty cool because these photos are old enough to where this was so I was probably about 12, 13 years old. So I was old enough to remember the marina the way it looks in these photos, but I wasn't old enough to go fishing as much as I would like on these trips. They were a little crazier back in the day, but pretty cool to see it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we take a peek at these photos. So fasten your seatbelts. So here are some of the fish. Pretty much the same fish we've been catching. That amberjack definitely wouldn't have been legal by today's standards. They got to be 34 inches to the fork. But back then, man, the good eating fish, good eating amberjack are a little smaller. So that is a great eating amberjack size. I believe they only had to be like 21 inches, 22 inches. Now they got to be 34 inches. So I remember the first couple trips I did, they had to be 22 inches to keep. So much better eating fish at 22 inches compared to those big 40 pounders. But I'm going to zoom out here. This is the front of our shop. We had the payphone going on. Gotta love the payphone action in front of the office. And then this is the bait shop. Our bait shop was actually outside of our main office. Our main office is over here on the right-hand side of the image. And on the left-hand side, where our waiting area now is, it was the bait shop. And then next to the bait shop was our rod and reel, basically repair closet. It was essentially a closet, and it was a dungeon, and I sat in there and repaired rods and reels when I was a kid. But I also, when I was real young, used to work in the bait shop counting shrimp. That was my thing in the morning. Get there and you separate out all the shrimp, and then you count them up and verify the orders. And needless to say, we don't do that anymore. And this is Chris Fink over here on the right, or excuse me, the left hand side of the screen. He was the one who supplied us with these photos. Thanks again, Chris. Pretty cool. Oh, look, you can see the advertisement for the casino boat that used to be there. Wasn't ever our casino boats, but those are the good old days for sure. And then check this out. We never had a railing on the side of the stairs. That's how you know it was back in the day. Because nowadays you have to have a railing on everything or you get sued. So no railing on the stairs. Pretty funny. And the boardwalk's still there. No overhang, no overhead shops really. We had open air on the entrance to the boardwalk back then. There is the back of the Florida Fisherman. She was she was commissioned in 1987, finished in 1989. So the Florida Fisherman 2 featured here. Still the same boat that we know and love today. She's just been rebuilt and reworked and repainted and reloved many times since. Another great photo from that probably then was a 32-hour. Chris Fink, you are welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was 32 hours back in the day. They started as 18-hour trips or 16-hour trips. Then they worked their way up to 18-hour trips. Then they were 24, 26. And then I think we jumped to 32, 34, 36. And now they are 39-hour trips. Pretty cool. the evolution of the long-range trip at Hubbard's Marina. The Bud Light cans. Look at those OG Bud Light cans. That's awesome. I love looking at the tackle back in the day, too. Just almost everybody using exclusively Penn reels, pretty much. And then Penn started backing off. Daiwa and Shimano came onto the scene, and almost hardly anybody now uses the Penn reels. Most of the high-end tackle is Shimano Talicas, Daiwa Saltigas, Accurates, Vets. Penn doesn't even really have high-end two-speed reels to compare. I mean, the Fathom's a great reel, don't get me wrong, but it's not like those Accurates, Vets, and stuff like that. This is Robert Hummel on the left-hand side. He used to fish with us when my grandfather was alive. He was one of the original guys in our regulars club, so pretty cool to see him. He still fishes with us occasionally, but he's got some knee problems that kind of hold him back nowadays, but pretty cool. Blast from the past there. So thanks, Chris Fink, for sending those over. If you're watching and you're like, hey man, I used to fish with them back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, and I got a bunch of photos, send them over to me. I'd love to see them. We'd love to feature them on the show. Thanks, Chris Presley and Anthony Presley. No, yeah, Anthony. Oh, Tony, our beach guy, sending some stars. Thanks, man. All right, so let's get into our questions tonight. It's still early. We got about 45 minutes, so we should have lots of time to answer a lot of your questions. So if you have a question, comment, or if you have a topic you want to cover, shoot me a text to that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. And with that, we are going to do our first free trip of the night giveaway. Free trip of the night. So we're going to do our 5-hour half-day fishing trip for 2 people. We're going to give that away first. And as I told you, Penn Torque. There you go. Phil brought it to my attention. Penn Torque. That's the high-end version of the Penn reels, but not a lot of people use them. They're not as popular as I would have imagined. But hey, to each their own. I know me, I like that Daiwa Saltiga. I don't think I'll ever leave that Daiwa Saltiga. Love those reels. But the Shimano Talica is a great reel, don't get me wrong. I just think the Daiwa Saltiga is just as good for $200 less. All right, so with that 5-hour half day for 2 guests, let's see who won the 5-hour half day for 2 people. Drum roll, please. And the winner is Chris Birchfield. Chris Birchfield. Let me see if I can type that correctly. And it is 8:48 p.m. So, Chris, you got about 5 minutes to claim your free trip. If you're picked as the lucky winner, you text that phone number in the upper right-hand corner, your home address, within about 5 minutes to prove that you are watching the show live and to claim your free trip. All right. And with that, it is time to get into some questions and make sure we've covered everything we want to cover. One thing I wanted to cover was a dry dock update. So our Florida Fisherman 2, the boat we showed in those photos, is in dry dock right now. So actually, it's not technically at dry dock. It's out of service. It's at the dock. So the plan was to keep the boat at the dock and take apart the motors, replace the injectors, rework the turbos, the heat exchangers, the intercoolers, and replace the AC units at the dock, and then send the boat up to Tarpon Springs with working engines, new ACs, and ready to rock and roll. So when we pull it out of the water and then put it back in the water after dry dock, we could just drive away and go right into service. We knew the boat was good. That was the plan. Unfortunately, took the motors apart and everything went back together fine except for the heat exchangers. Went to take them to get cleaned. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what, but we hit some snags. Company we were working with unfortunately had some trouble. We sent our mechanic, shout out to Donnie, Donnie Mullman. We are very blessed to have him. He was a master mechanic for many, many years. Then he was a teacher. He taught technical school people how to become marine mechanics. And he retired, and now he works for us at the Marina in Gulfport in our warehouse. He's a magician, and we sent him to this corporation, and he took our heat exchangers apart, realized that they were trying to put them back together wrong. He fixed them and brought them back, and we're putting them back in the boat tomorrow. Needless to say, the Florida fishermen will be leaving the dock tomorrow afternoon or Tuesday morning to head up to Tarpon Springs. And don't worry, that was a big delay for us, but we are still on track to be ready for our October 23rd 39-hour trips. So we're not delayed on the return date of the Florida Fisherman 2, but our hopes and dreams of maybe coming back early and maybe adding a trip, I don't think that's going to happen now. And hopefully the Coast Guard inspection goes well, and we'll definitely be back October 23rd ready to rock and roll. But yeah, big delay. And kind of frustrating. Also, the AC units were a little bit of a delay. We had some problems there, but everything's good. We're back together. We're up and running, and we're going to be heading to Tarpon Springs very shortly to get that boat out of the water, complete our Coast Guard inspection, repaint her, get her back in the water, and get her home. So that is your dry dock update now. And when we do take it to Tarpon Springs to pull it out of the water, I'm hoping and praying I'll be available, because I want to get up there with the guys and film that boat coming out of the water. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up this week. It'll be a live video. Really cool to watch that big boat get pulled out of the water. Also wanted to talk a little bit about the weather. The weather is crazy. So go to hubbardsmarina.com anytime you want, and under the fishing trips tab you will see the weather links page. The weather links page takes you to our weather links, and these are all the links that I use to check the weather for your trips. Really cool information here, especially if you're inshore fishing. Highly recommend Smart Fishing Tides website. But as far as tropical storms and tropical systems and big weather trends, scroll to the very bottom to the ultimate storm forecast. That's spaghettimodels.com. This is our friend Mike. Mike does Mike's weather page, or spaghettimodels.com, and this page really has a lot of good information and cool stuff on it. One of the coolest things today was we literally had this morning, woke up and we had this little yellow X was on the east coast of Florida, right about here, and through the day it has traveled across the state of Florida. We had essentially a mini hurricane. It was a little cyclone, spinny thing that popped off the frontal boundary that was sitting on top of the state and basically spun across the state. It was really cool. So let me show you that. It's on Mike's Facebook page. Definitely recommend you follow Mike's weather page on Facebook if you're not already. Let me show you. He had a real zoomed in photo. So this is the radar image. You can see the eye, and these were the outer bands, 1 feeder band, 2 feeder bands, and it literally came in from the state. It developed right here off the east coast of Florida and moved from the east to the west across our state today. So that really was something very unique, something you don't see a lot. A storm literally developed on the state of Florida today. Let me get the little video of it because it's wild. All right, here is, oh, it's just a little GIF. You can see the eye wall there. So as the sun comes up, it made landfall, and lots of rotation in that storm. Pretty crazy. Oh, that's way not zoomed in enough for you guys to see. So, too zoomed in. There we go. Hopefully you can see it a little better now. Yep, so rotation, counterclockwise rotation, essentially a small hurricane. or for any sense of the word, a cyclone or whatever you want to call it. But it made the weather bad. And it was pretty cool to see because it was very unique for sure. So some interesting weather trend that we were watching today. But as far as the forecast for our fishing trips are concerned, this is what we're looking at. Tomorrow, inshore, the forecast is almost 5 foot, calling 25 to 30 knot gusts. It's not looking good. It calms down a little bit Tuesday, a little bit more Wednesday, and then it looks pretty good for the start of the weekend. They're calling for some rain. We're going to kind of keep our eye on that. But the weekend, especially Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into the start of next week, finally looks good, where we have a little bit of a weather window instead of just a couple days. Hopefully, we'll get 4, 5, 6, 7 days because we're ready to go fishing. It's been way too long to get out there and enjoy some time on the water. So we're looking forward to getting back after them for sure. Thanks, Chad Peterson, for sending us some stars. Really appreciate that, buddy. So let's get back into these questions and see what you guys have been asking while I was talking. Remember, if you have a question you want an answer to, if you have a topic you want to talk about, text us at that phone number in the upper right-hand corner, and we'll get to it tonight. First question is, how is the work going at dry dock? Well, there you go. We just talked about it, gave you an update. So glad that worked out. Hubbard's Marina fleet are the best in Florida. Great crew coming again soon. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Let's see here. Aaron from Tallahassee, wondering how soon you think the grouper will be moving closer to shore. So the grouper tend to move closer to shore in cooler months. So the months ending in ER, really excluding September. So October, November, December is where we see those gag grouper kind of move closer to shore. So that's what we're waiting for. Those cold fronts start, the water starts cooling down. That's when we see those gag groupers start making their way in or way near shore into a little bit shallower water. So just waiting for the cold front. So it depends on the weather. So the stronger cold front starts showing up, water starts cooling off. That's when those gag grouper will get on the move in closer. Thanks, Anthony Barnes, for sending some sending some stars. Next question is, are there any anchoring tips over a fishing spot in rough water? So there's a lot of different anchoring tips. They're a little difficult to discuss over a video like this. The big trick is making sure that your bait is on the fishing spot, not your boat. So you have to account for the way the wind is going to hold your boat on your anchor, and also you got to really account for the current. So if the boat's sit in a position or a certain heading off your anchor, the current might be going in a different direction from the wind. So if the wind's coming straight out of your north or out of the north, your anchor heading might be directly to the north, due north, but you might have a current that's coming out of the east. So that means if you drop a bait down, your bait's going to really be almost further west than where your boat is sitting. So you want to make sure your boat is off the spot to the east. So it's a little tricky to talk about over a live show like this. But the best tip I could give you in rougher water is to use more anchor line, making sure your anchor doesn't drag, making sure your anchor is being placed out there in that softer or muddy bottom. You don't want to hook your anchor and let it drag and then hook under a rock. You're never going to get that anchor back. So you want to be careful about where you place your anchor, making sure you have plenty of anchor rode or scope out to make sure that anchor doesn't pull. And you don't want to let your anchor pull into that spot or it's going to shut the bite down. And then making sure your bait's on top of the fish is a good trick. If you want a lot of anchoring tips, the best place to find them, I filmed a video with Salt Strong about this in our grouper fishing course. So if you go to saltstrong.com/Hubbard, I'll show you real quick. So we're going to open up Google. Can't see that. We're going to have to move that page down a little bit so you can see it. Oops. So in the URL, just go to saltstrong.com Hubbard. And then once you hit that URL, you'll see all the mastery courses that we filmed with Salt Strong, our grouper mastery, red snapper mastery, and mangrove snapper mastery course. Plus, you get a year-long subscription to Salt Strong. I believe, I think it's $97, and you get all 3 courses, and you get the year-long subscription. So really, really great deal. And in that grouper mastery course, we're on the boat, looking at the GPS, looking at the plotter, the bottom machine, showing you how to position the boat over spots. That is the best way I could possibly tell you how to position the boat, because over a video like this, it's hard to kind of explain it verbally. But be happy to chat with you on the phone, or if you want to stop by the office, we can talk a little bit more, or even better, come out on a trip. We can show you on the trip. But that video is going to be your best resource, apart from someone like us coming out on your boat and showing you on your boat. We are about to go on a 39-hour trip in December. What type of device can I use to listen to music out there? I would suggest focusing on the fishing and not really bothering with it, but you can bring anything you want on the boat that doesn't have GPS. So if you got like one of those old school iPod Nanos that doesn't have a screen, basically a little limited, but some people have those. They go on Amazon and get those cheap MP3 players that you can load up with a couple hundred songs that doesn't have a screen, doesn't have any apps to it. You can use one of those, but we'd prefer you don't bring any electronics on the boat. But if you absolutely have to have music, that is an option for you. You can bring digital cameras. You can bring a GoPro if you don't mind me checking it out before and after your trip. But the preferred thing is that you don't bring any electronics, apart from a digital camera if you'd like, or yeah, that's about it. I mean, you don't need any electronics. You're going fishing, focus on having fun and going fishing. A lot of people are like, well, I want to bring my DVD player to watch movies on the way out. And it's like, man, just go to sleep. Get some rest. You're going to need it. It's a long, long trip. So you want to make sure you get plenty of rest on the way out to catch a bunch of grouper and snapper and amberjack while you're out fishing, right? So that's the goal. Are the boats still at restricted capacity? Kind of. Some, most are not. So we're in phase 2 of opening, which means we're allowed groups of 50 or less. So most of our trips, like our 39-hour trip, our 12-hour extreme trip, our 12-hour night snapper, our private charters, our Egmont Key, Shell Key Ferry, a bunch of trips, we're already 50 people or less. So those trips are not restricted at all in passenger counts. Our half-day trip, our all-day trip, our Dolphin trips are still restricted because those trips normally carry a few more than 50 passengers. So those trips are still restricted. If you're wondering about our COVID-19 operating policies and procedures, right on our website at the top of the page is that gray bar. And we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but essentially, we are encouraging you to wear a mask, but it's not required. We're encouraging you to use social distance, but outside it's not required. We basically want to make sure everybody's safe and healthy. So if you're sick, don't come. If you're in one of those vulnerable classes, don't come. And just be safe, be respectful, and be flexible, and let's have a good time and catch some fish. And those are the COVID-19 operating policies, procedures. If you want to read more, go on to the website. Thank you, Estelle, for sending some stars. Appreciate it. Saw a video of the new store. Looks great. Thank you. The new store is awesome. We are definitely enjoying having another location inside Johns Pass and being able to spread out a little bit and capture hopefully some new clientele we might not have had. So it's definitely been helping out. We really enjoy our location, and it's been cool. So the new location is pretty sweet for sure. I appreciate you watching the videos, and I'm glad you enjoyed that new location. You got to come see it in person. It's pretty cool. All right. Let's see. What time does a 12-hour night snapper trip leave the dock? It is a 12-hour night snapper trip on Friday nights around the full moon. It leaves the dock at 7 p.m. on Friday night around the moon phases, so not every Friday night. And it comes back to the dock at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. The 12-hour night trip fishes anywhere from 25 to 35 miles from shore, and it targets mangrove snapper. The last trip did pretty well on some nice mangroves, kind of nice keeper red grouper. We've had to cancel the one after that due to weather, and then this past Friday we didn't have one due to the moon phase. But we would have had to probably cancel due to, no, not this past Friday, it was nice, but moon phase was wrong, that's why we didn't offer it. Can I use a spinning reel on the 12-hour trip to get a better feel for the bite? So on our 12-hour night trip, you can definitely use a spinning reel. I'd probably bring a spinning reel if I was going out there. If the bite was a little slow, I'd break out that spinning reel and use a little lighter tackle and maybe get those fish firing. On our 12-hour extreme trip, I would strongly encourage you not to use a spinning reel. It'd be a very bad idea. You wouldn't have a chance at catching a nice grouper. Most likely you get rocked up, broken off, and you're going to shut down the bite for everybody else. So strongly encourage you don't use a spinning reel on a 12-hour extreme trip. On a 12-hour night snapper, I would bring a spinning reel as a backup. And I would start fishing with my 2-speed, high-speed reel, like that Daiwa Saltiga or Saltist. And if the bite was good and I was catching fish, I'd stick to it. If the bite was a little slow, little lighter tackle, and use that spinning reel. There used to be a map of the Gulf with areas you fish highlighted for each type of trip. I can no longer find it. Is it still there or deleted for some reason? That trip or that map was an old placemat style thing. It was a chart, something my dad used to produce. We just don't do it anymore because I don't have a real good reason why. Just people weren't buying them too much, so we stopped producing them. But basically it was to give people an idea of the general area that we fished. But nowadays we just have it on our website. We recently redid the website for the 100,000th time. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, we've changed up the layout a little bit. So when you go to one of our fishing trip pages, if you remember like our 5-hour half day page, we had all this information. And I wrote all that information. I really like all that information, but I was told that it's too much information and people get lost. They just want the bullet points and they want to be able to book now. So made it a little easier with a little calendar showing you when trips are available and the book now button, the price, how far we fish, the distance we fish, the departure times, the duration, just basically the highlights. And then if you want to learn more, if you like a lot of information, like I like a lot of information, you can scroll down and then there's a little bar on each page where you can expand and see all that great information they made me hide. I don't know. That's just what the experts say, that it's all supposed to be quick information, quick book now, whereas my version of the website had a lot more words to it. But if you know me, if you ever heard me speak at Bass Pro or do my seminars, I tend to be a little long-winded. I'm working on that, but I don't know. I digress. Thank you, Barry Long, for sending some stars. And Gabe, always a pleasure to have you on the show, Gabe. Hit us with 1,000 stars. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's see here. What's the next question? If you rent rods, does that cover multiple rods, different rod sizes, depending on what's biting? That's a great question. And the answer is no. If you rent a rod and reel, we give you one rod that does a little bit of everything well. So that is sometimes a common misconception, especially like on our 39-hour trip. I always talk about on a 39-hour trip how you kind of want to have a lighter tackle rod, kind of a medium, and then kind of an extra heavy. So typically 4/0, 6/0, 9/0, or to put it in definitions of newer reels, you typically have one reel with like 20, 30 pound drag and like 20, 30 pounds of drag with around 40 to 50 pound main line and 30 to 50 pound leaders. You have another medium rod with like 40, 35 to 45 pounds of drag, 30 to 40 pounds of drag, and anywhere from 50 to 60 pound main line, anywhere from 40 to 80 pound leader. And then you have your heavy rod where you have 45 plus pounds of drag, 80 or 100 pound main line, and then 80 pound leader or up to 125, 150, depending on what you're targeting. So those would be the three options I would suggest. Now, on a rental rod and reel, we give you that medium rod with around 35, 40 pounds of drag. It's got about 60 pound main line in it. And then we give you a bunch of different leader options, a couple different size hook options. And it's up to you if you would like to change your leader out depending on what we're fishing. So Will does a seminar on the way out. He supplies you with all the hooks, swivels, tackle, and he shows you how to make those double snell rigs, how to make up those grouper rigs. You tie a bunch of those up, you hang them near your fishing spot, and then while you're fishing, he'll make sure that you stay with the tackle you need to be proficient. So on those advanced angler, longer range trips like the 39 and 44 hour trips, if you rent a rod and reel, we give you one rod that does a little bit of everything well, and then you change the leaders out based on what you're fishing for. Thanks, TJ Newsom, or TJ McNew. Been sending a bunch of different stars tonight. Appreciate you, man. Next question. Schedule my vacation for this coming April. I want to get my 39-hour trip scheduled. When can I set my trip up? So our 2021 fishing year, that schedule for 2021 will come out sometime in typically early December. 2 years ago it was like December 4th. Last year was December 2nd. It will be as close to the beginning of December as possible. This year it looks like Tuesday, so it'll probably be like December 1st this year if everything lines up correctly. Will be the first day our schedule will open. Typically we do it around 10 a.m. ish, so probably 10 a.m. December 1st. To answer your question, will be when you could book an April 2021 39-hour trip, or a June 2021, or a December 2021 39-hour trip. All our 12, 39, and 44-hour trips will be closed for booking until that time. Our 5-hour trips, our 10-hour trips, our Dolphin tours, our Egmont Key trips, we're building those into our schedule now for 2021, and those will be available just when we put them in the schedule. But the long-range specialty trips, the 12-hour nights, the 12-hour extremes, the 39-hour trips, those will be locked and hidden until we can confirm seasons, size limit, bag limits, all that kind of stuff. And December 1st is typically when we release our schedule. And with that, I think it is a good segue to give away a free fishing trip. So let's see who is the lucky winner of our 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. Switch over to the right piece of paper again so I can make notes for the lucky winner. All right, 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. Let's see who the lucky winner was, or the lucky winner is. Lucky winner is John Burton from Palm Harbor. Sending us some stars in one way or another. I appreciate you watching, John. And congratulations on the win on your 10-hour all-day. Remember, if you're chosen as that lucky winner, you do have about 5 minutes to shoot us a text message with your full home address to that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. All right, now let's see here. Next question. What does the forecast look like for Friday night's 12-hour trip? So again, if you go to our website, under Fishing Trips is our weather links page. When you go to WeatherLink's page, my favorite forecast to look at are the wind finder forecasts. NOAA forecasts are kind of general, and they tend to be a little less on the button. Wind finder forecast has actually over forecasted the last couple of days, which I don't like. But generally, wind finder's pretty spot on. So we're going to look at the 5 and 10 hour forecast. Just to give us a general idea. It looks like right now the 12-hour night trip this Friday doesn't look bad. Looks like it might be a little rainy Friday. Hopefully that's nothing serious. But as far as wind is concerned, about 15 knot winds, about 2-foot seas, which is not bad, but it is still early, guys. It is only Sunday. It is only Sunday. A lot can change between now and Sunday. So still between today, Sunday, and this coming Friday. So a long way to go, but keep your eye on the weather. This time of year, the weather can change so drastically, so quickly. Literally today, we woke up and was just supposed to be a windy, breezy day, and we literally woke up to a cyclone spinning across the state of Florida. It wasn't a cyclone. They didn't call it a cyclone, but it had rotation. The National Hurricane Center said it could possibly become something tropical. There was a 10% chance that it could become a hurricane on top of us. So you just never know what's going to happen here in the beautiful state of Florida in September, the height of hurricane season. Thank you, John Kraus and Jen Robinson for sending some stars, and Calvin Brisker. Appreciate you guys. All right, let's see. What's the next question? When is Will going to start running the boats? Will McClure, our first mate on the 39-hour trips, he enjoys what he does, man. Once you're running the boat, there's a lot of just a different experience. As a crew member, you work hard, but you also get to have the flexibility to enjoy the trip a little bit, get on deck, entertain and interact with the passengers. The level of responsibility is obviously not quite as high. You're not responsible for everybody's life on the boat, and it's harder work to be a deckhand in some senses. Harder physical work. As a captain, it's definitely more mentally taxing, and in my opinion, a lot more stressful. I think everybody would agree it's more stressful. It's just different. And sometimes it kind of changes the way you work, whereas a captain will kind of take more of a overarching umbrella role, and Will likes what he does, man, and I don't see him changing for a little while. I think once he gets up there in age and starts slowing down a little bit, I think that's what's going to drive him to eventually get that captain's license, if that ever happens. I don't know if anybody's been fishing with Will lately, but he hasn't lost a step. Thank you, Dan, for sending 1,000 stars, keeping up with Gabe. Appreciate you, Dan Netto and Gabe, for supplying those stars. Let's see. How's the triggerfish biting? How's that 10-hour trip? Triggerfish are pretty decent. I mean, we don't necessarily have the ability to go out there and say, we're going to catch a bunch of triggerfish today, because they're just not that populated in certain areas, or they're not that congregated, I guess you could say. So we can't go out and necessarily have a triggerfish trip. But we are catching them out there in deeper water on our longer range trips, like the 12-hour extreme, 39-hour, 44-hour trips. They were catching them. Right now, we just have the 12-hour extremes running, but we haven't had a 12-hour extreme in almost a week and a half because of this weather. So that's been tricky. But the Flying Hub 2 is rocking and rolling. It ran Friday, it ran Saturday, and we're looking forward to it hopefully running later this week once this weather finally relents. All right. What other questions do we have? Where did the tips and tricks page go on the website? I can't seem to find it. Thanks for bringing that up. We did, again, redesign the website a little bit, so some of the navigation has changed. So our fishing tips and tricks page, I was worried people wouldn't be able to find that. I even said that. Josh, if you're watching, I said it. So unfortunately, our menus had to be shortened up a little bit because as you can see here, I'm kind of zoomed in, and my staff in the office likes to zoom in their pages. So when they would click on fishing trips, this menu was so long, it would extend down below the screen, and they didn't know you could just use your mouse and the control button to zoom in and zoom out, but hey, not everybody is as familiar with computers as others, so I get it. So we wanted to shorten the menu up a little bit just to make navigation a little easier for everybody because we figured if our staff was having that issue, that someone out there watching our website was having the issue. So we condensed the menu down. So under fishing trips, to get to the fishing tips and tricks page, you go to fishing trips, you go to fishing video links, and then you go to the fishing tips and tricks. If you haven't been to the fishing tips and tricks page before, there is a ton of really cool videos here. A lot of them from our friends at Salt Strong, some of them from me, but I would say now it's almost half Hubbard's Marina, half Salt Strong. Salt Strong has a bunch of public fishing trips that you don't have to be a member of their club or a member of their group to see. And we shared some of the more pertinent ones right there on our fishing tips and tricks page. But they have literally thousands of videos, hundreds of thousands of videos. And if you check out that saltstrong.com/Hubbard, you can grab that deal and get access to their club and see a ton more videos. They're pretty cool people, man. Highly recommend it. What other questions do we have? How far in advance do you know the tide schedule to plan a fishing day? Good question. So the tides are actually kind of well known. I think they do like up to 5 years out for tides. So inshore fishing definitely a lot more pertinent. Offshore fishing, the tides can kind of be influenced by currents, the loop current moving around. So offshore, there is really no good tide table. There are some programs that you can purchase. I have RIP charts. It's like $300 a year. That'll show you kind of oceanographic currents and kind of give you an idea of the tides and currents from in the area you're fishing. It'll give you a lot more information like oceanography heights, bathymetric charts, chlorophyll levels out there. Pretty cool chart that we have access to. But as far as like tide charts, when is high tide and when is low tide, they don't really have that for offshore fishing because once you go heading west into the Gulf of Mexico, the tide times change. As far as inshore fishing goes, they have it years in advance. So again, go into our website, go to fishing trips, to the weather links page. On the weather links page, we have my favorite tides website, which is the smartfishingtides.com. This is actually powered by Salt Strong. Really cool people over there. Like I said, they created this website, so we're going to click on Johns Pass. But if you didn't want to click on Johns Pass, if you're not like me and you're in Johns Pass all the time, scroll out. You can scroll out. There's literally everything, the whole East Coast, the whole Gulf of Mexico, all the way to Texas. But let's go into Johns Pass here, and we're going to look at the tides for Johns Pass, and they're going to give you a numbered score, 1 out of 10 score for the next 2.5 weeks to tell you when the best day is. Now again, this is pertinent to inshore fishing in Johns Pass, but it looks like they're right before the full moon is the best time. Right before the full moon and on the full moon is what they're saying is the best time based on weather, tides, the moon phase. It looks like Monday the 28th looks like the best opportunity to fish, so we're going to click that day. I'm interested to fish that day and scroll down, and it's going to show you the tides, the weather, the wind, the temperature, and it'll tell you what hour of the day the fish are biting best. So according to smartfishingtides.com, Monday the 28th inside Johns Pass from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is going to be an absolute bananas good time to go fishing. So pretty cool. Definitely check out that website, and I think you'll be impressed, and I think you will see and agree that it is extremely accurate. I look at that website quite a bit and decide what time of the day I'm going to go cast that mirror lure off the dock. Let's see, what other questions do we have? How big of amberjacks do you typically catch on a 10-hour trip? So the 10-hour all-day trip would never catch amberjacks this time of year, or really any time of year, because those amberjacks are 140, 160 foot of water or more. 10-hour all-day only fishes about 15 to 25 miles from shore and about 60 to 100 foot of water. So we just wouldn't get out deep enough to catch an amberjack on our 10-hour all-day fishing trip. But on our Flying Hub 2 private fishing charter, you might get out there deep enough to catch one of those amberjack on a 10-hour Flying Hub 2 private charter. But on a party boat trip, probably not going to get out deep enough. Speaking of the old pen reels, do you think they would still hold up in today's fishery? And I would strongly agree, yes. So I still have some of those American-made pen reels. My 9-aught reel is a Daiwa 900H, so it's one of the original Daiwa reels. But I have a bunch of those Penn 9-aughts. That's what we use for our shark fishing reels every Friday night through the summertime. I've got a Penn 14-aught sitting here next to my desk, which I am not going to pick up and try to show you because it's on a 9-foot Harrington rod. It was my grandfather's rod and grandfather's reel, so it sits in here in my office. It's still got 300-pound Dacron on it, but I would probably close to throw my back out picking that reel up. It is extremely heavy. I'm being facetious. It's not that heavy, but it is definitely a heavy reel, and with a 9-foot rod, I would knock down my Jameson bottle collection above my head and wake the baby up, so we're not going to do that. But yes, they would definitely hold up in today's fishery. Those old school American-made all metal reels are awesome, and we have some of those old school pen reels in our shop in the used reel case, and they have been gone through. Their guts have been replaced and reworked, and they're really nice reels for big fish fishing. And they would definitely hold up to grouper, amberjack, and that abuse of heavy tackle and big baits. Next question, did you upgrade the AC system on the Florida? Yes, we talked about that. Fully replaced air handlers and air condensers on the inside cabin on the Florida Fisherman. Can you share pictures of the Florida Fisherman out of the water? That is the goal. When it's out of the water, we will be filming it coming out of the water, hopefully this week. As I mentioned earlier, looking forward to it getting out of the water. Hopefully, probably on Tuesday, but might be Monday afternoon, might be as late as Wednesday morning. Kind of depends on how everything goes this week, but we'll make some announcements and we'll let you guys know. What do you recommend for catching large amberjack on the 12-hour extreme trip? So big baits, big live baits, big heavy tackle, big reel. That is the recipe for success. We talked a lot about amberjacks and what the best bait is to use on the last couple shows, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but if you're interested, you can go back in or shoot me another text and I can expand on that. But big live baits with big tackle and a big reel, like 100, 125 pound leader, 10, 12-aught hook, 1, 2, 3 pound bait. That's what you're looking for. 9-aught reel, 45, 50 pounds of drag or more. When does 2021 trip schedule come out? Again, probably around early December. We mentioned that a little earlier too, so hopefully you caught that question or answer. Looking for a good land-based or wade fishing area for me to take my kids fishing. That's a great question. The Skyway Fishing Pier is awesome. There's tons of fish to be had out there. You can come fish our dock right inside Johns Pass at Hubbard's Marina. As long as we're not actively loading or unloading our boats, you're always welcome to fish from our dock. The beach behind our office is good fishing. The jetties, the south and north jetty of Johns Pass is great fishing. Clearwater, Big Pier 60. You have Fort DeSoto Gulf and Bay Pier. You have Blinds Pass, Paso Grill Pass, Mary Pier, 8th Avenue, all good areas to fish. Blinds Pass, Johns Pass, Paso Grill are some of my local favorites. Wade fishing, I'm not as familiar with wade fishing areas, but I would say around Cockroach Bay has some areas. Gandy, Courtney Campbell. There's some areas in Pinellas Point. Bogosiega Bay, like by Great American Marina, has some areas. I don't wade fish a lot. Fort DeSoto would be awesome. You can walk out to Fort DeSoto from Terra Verde now. Good luck trying to park and not get towed, though. But Fort DeSoto's one of the best areas I've ever done wade fishing in the back there at Fort DeSoto, Shell Key. You can get out to Shell Key on our Shell Key Ferry and take your rod and walk directly straight through the island. The back of Shell Key has incredible wade fishing. But don't tell anybody. I guess I just did. But there's some great areas in the back of Shell Key, only accessible by boat there on the other side. And our Shell Key Ferry leaves from Fort DeSoto's boat ramp. You can take the Shell Key Ferry out there and then just walk where the ferry lets you off, walk straight through the woods. You're going to open up into this huge bay. Great wade fishing back there. Tons of snook, redfish, trout, and more. And starting October 1st, you can have campfires out there. You can camp all night long. You just need a camping permit. It's right on our website. You can look up the Shell Key Ferry under the Cruises tab, and you can get your camping permit there and go camp all night and go catch some snook, redfish, and trout. Pretty cool. Next question was about the camping permit at Shell Key. The process to get a camping permit to camp at Shell Key is right on our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, go under the Cruises tab, you go down to Camping on Shell Key, and this is a newer page that we just developed to kind of help people get explained the process a little bit better. And it has some of the schedule, and it has the camping checklist, what you're not allowed to bring, some camping rules and guidelines, and somewhere in here, my sister did all this. I didn't do this, so excuse my ignorance because this is, again, a new page. But somewhere in here, there's a link to get a camping permit. Oh, overnight ticking. Get your camping permit here from Pinellas County. And you can click it, and it takes you to the Pinellas County page. No, I don't want to give feedback. It gives you the Pinellas County page where you can get a camping permit. And the permit's like $5 to camp out there all night. You need one permit for every 6 people, so keep that in mind as well. But all the information's there on the website. My sister Tara made it easy for you. Let's see. Chris Fink said, thanks for sharing the photos. Hey man, I appreciate you sharing them with me. On our 39-hour trip, we have 2 crew members, 2 captains, 1 main captain, 1 second captain, and then a galley cook. So in all, 5 people on those 39-hour trips. Let's see. Had to leave the live show, but I have a gift certificate I bought last year during Black Friday sale. How long do we have to use it? Those gift certificates you purchase are good for 12 months from the purchase date. So those gift certificates we give you 20% off on, they have a 12 months expiration. Any gift certificate you purchase has a 12-month expiration date, so keep that in mind. Do you think Tuesday's 10-hour all-day will get out? I don't know. Monday looks really bumpy. It kind of depends on what this tropical spinny thing does that's on top of our state right now. The weather is very unpredictable this time of year, and especially right now with Tropical Storm Berta, or beta, excuse me, beta over there in the Western Gulf. We've got this huge line of low pressure. Now it's becoming an occluded front and back up on us. So we have a lot of pressure ridges. Just to be able to answer your question, no, I don't know if Tuesday's 10 hour is going to be able to get out. Tomorrow we're going to look closely at the weather in the morning, and we'll make a call on that 10 hour all day trip probably by tomorrow, early to late afternoon at the latest. I think we're running out of time. Almost got through all the questions tonight. Didn't have a guest, so had a little bit more time to focus on your questions. But as always, if I didn't get to your question, I'll go back through and I'll try to answer them after the show. Really appreciate everybody watching. We still got to give away that 39-hour trip. I didn't forget, so no one freak out. Just want to do some closing stuff real quick. Again, want to remind you, if you haven't checked out the supporters page, highly recommend the supporters page. You can become a supporter at the link I'm about to drop in to the video for you. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the supporter link in there. It's also right there. If you're watching on Facebook, it's right there where you can see the option to send stars is the option to become a supporter. Pretty cool. You get exclusive content, access to the private supporters page where you get more photos, more videos, and kind of more behind the scenes content. So pretty cool, if I do say so myself, and I look forward to growing it with your help. So if you haven't done so already, check out the supporters page. You might highly enjoy it. And if you become a supporter, let me know on that private group what you want to see more of. And feel free to post as much as you want. It's your private group, and a great way to kind of connect better with me and our crew and your fellow Hubbard's Marina and offshore fishing enthusiasts. So check out the supporters page. Come out and see us inside Johns Pass at Hubbard's Marina. Right now, super light loads during the week. Gets a little busier on the weekend. Lots of 12-hour extremes going on. We got the 10-hour on the hub until October 22nd-ish. Our 39-hour start back up October 23rd. Got a lot of 39 hours in November and December, and gag grouper should be biting very well. So I think that's about all the announcements I had tonight. It is time to give away that 39-hour fishing trip for 2 guests. Now remember, you had to be watching the show live, the entire show, and if you're picked as the lucky winner, you do have to claim your free trip in about 5 minutes by texting that phone number in the upper right hand corner to claim it. We have eliminated anybody who just joined the show in the last 20, 30, 40 minutes. You had to have been watching the show the whole time to be eligible to win any of these free trips. So keep that in mind for next week. And we're working on an update. We might have figured out a way to roll in YouTube and Facebook together. So that way everybody's comments will be in one box on my end of things, which would help me out a lot. And it would also enable us to give away the trip to anybody watching, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. So we're working on that, YouTubers. We want to try to incorporate everybody into those free trips. But for now, you have to comment on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win, and you do have to watch the entire show. So with that, let's see who won a 39-hour fishing trip for one guest, and we'll see everybody next week at 8:30 p.m. on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook and YouTube live stream show. So see you next week, 8:30 p.m. Let's see who won that 39-hour fishing trip for one person. 39-hour for one person goes to Thomas Danny Hughes from Inverness. He was watching once again, and this time he is the lucky winner. Thomas Danny Hughes from Inverness. So thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you next week on right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook and YouTube channel for another episode of this live stream fishing show. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy, definitely check out that supporters group. I highly recommend you join it. and hopefully we can grow it together. And check out Salt Strong if you're interested. And check out our new website. See how you like it. Let me know. Give us some feedback. You can text me anytime at that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. It's open all the time, whether the live show's on or not. So check it out. Give us a call, text, and we'll see you soon at the dock, guys. Thanks for watching.